Have you ever gone out of your way to help someone, and they didn't even say thank you? Have you ever given your time, your energy, your effort, only for people to expect even more? Have you ever been so kind, so giving, that people slowly started taking advantage of you? There's a hard truth that many kind people realize too late. Being a good person doesn't always protect you, sometimes, it slowly breaks you. You say yes when you really want to say no. You show up even when you're exhausted. You keep giving until you feel empty inside. And instead of appreciating you, people begin to expect it. They stop respecting your kindness, and start using it. And the most painful part? The moment you finally say no. The moment you try to protect yourself. You're suddenly called selfish, rude, or uncaring. But what if being kind without boundaries is actually the biggest mistake? What if kindness, without wisdom, becomes a trap? Let me tell you a story. In a small, peaceful village, there lived a man named Thomas. Thomas was known as the kindest person anyone had ever met. He always had a gentle smile, always ready to help, always willing to give. If someone needed help, Thomas was there. If someone needed money, he would lend it. If someone needed someone to listen, he would sit for hours without complaint. People often said, "Thomas is such a good man." And Thomas believed it too. He felt proud. He thought his kindness made him valuable and safe. But deep inside, something didn't feel right. Every night, he felt drained, exhausted, empty. He would lie in bed thinking, "Why do I feel so tired all the time?" One morning, his neighbor knocked on his door. "Thomas, I need help fixing my roof. Can you come today?" Thomas had planned to rest. His body was already aching from helping others all week. But he looked at his neighbor, and couldn't say no. He spent the entire day working under the hot sun. By the time he finished, his hands were sore, his body worn out. The neighbor simply said, "Good work. I'll need help with my fence next week too." No thank you. No appreciation. Just another request. That night, Thomas stared at the ceiling and whispered, "Why is it never enough?" A few days later, his friend asked him for money. "Just a small amount," his friend said. "I'll return it soon." Thomas had already lent him money before, and never got it back. Still, he gave it again. Weeks passed. No mention of repayment. When Thomas gently asked about it, his friend replied, "Why are you making this a big deal? Aren't we friends?" Thomas felt hurt, but said nothing. Soon after, the village gathered to discuss building a well. Without asking him, everyone agreed. Thomas will handle it. No one offered to help. No one even asked if he was okay with it. They just assumed. That was the moment Thomas realized something painful. His kindness had turned into an expectation. People didn't see him as generous, they saw him as available. That evening, as he sat alone by the river, an old traveler approached him. "You look like someone who gives too much," the traveler said. Thomas looked surprised. "How can you tell?" The traveler smiled. "Because you look exhausted, not from work, but from people." Thomas nodded slowly. "I thought being kind meant helping everyone," he said. "It does," the traveler replied gently. "But not everyone deserves your help." Thomas was confused. "Kindness without limits isn't kindness," the traveler continued. "It's self-neglect. When you give to everyone, your effort loses value. When you're always available, people stop respecting your time. When you never say no, your yes stops meaning anything." Thomas sat quietly, thinking deeply. "So what should I do?" he asked. The traveler answered. "Stay kind, but be wise. Help others, but don't abandon yourself. Your energy is valuable. Give it to those who respect it." The next morning, his neighbor returned. "Ready to fix my fence today?" he asked casually. Thomas took a deep breath. "For the first time," he said. "No." The neighbor looked shocked. "I need rest," Thomas said calmly. "I've helped you many times, but you've never helped me, or even thanked me." He gently closed the door. His heart was racing, but he felt something new. Relief. Days later, his friend asked for money again. Thomas replied, "No. I've helped before, and you didn't return it. I can't do it again." His friend got upset. "You've changed," he said. Thomas nodded slightly. "Yes. I have. Dash." At the next village meeting, Thomas spoke up. "I will still help," he said, "but not alone. I will give my time, but it must be respected. Kindness should not mean being taken for granted." Some people were uncomfortable. Some were silent. But Thomas stood firm. Dash. Over time, something interesting happened. People began treating him differently. They asked instead of assuming. They offered help in return. They showed appreciation. One day, a young farmer approached him and said, "I need help building something. I'll pay you, and I'll help you too." Thomas smiled. For the first time in a long time, his kindness felt valued. Dash. Months later, the traveler returned. "You look different," he said. Thomas smiled peacefully. "I've learned something important," he replied. Kindness isn't about giving everything to everyone. It's about giving wisely, to the right people, in the right way. Dash. So if you've ever felt used, if you've ever felt drained from always giving, remember this. Your kindness is not a weakness. But kindness without boundaries can hurt you. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to protect your energy. True kindness includes yourself too. And the right people will respect you even more for it.